when the chest has locked up all the emotions, the stomach of acceptance tends to lose momentum. When water overflows in a bathtub, you can't solve the problem by simply wiping the floor, but instead you need to resolve the matter from its root position. You either close the tap first, then remove the sealer, or you remove the sealer and then close the tap. Either way, you have to stop the water from flowing from the tap and remove the sealer and actually allow the water to run out. Failure to do so wreaks havoc of a serious nature. When men refuse to uproot the cause, the surroundings suffer. We have seen families break down because the father tried to keep himself together instead of being open to suggestions of assistance. Sometimes breaking down is the necessary antidote for renewed construction. Cases of depression have sparked great concerns on the news headlines, followed by shocking alcohol consumption statistics, and that are too frightening to mention at times. So all this has caused a collapse simply because sometimes in capital letters, men refuse to drop a tear. Society deems a crying man as a weakling and is seen as unbecoming conduct, and this has led to a decay in men opening up when it matters and really matters the most. Men even fear asking for assistance from a friend simply because they fear that it may be seen as a sign of cracks on the wall. We need to raise the awareness that it is okay to shed a tear, but what is important is that once you have shed a tear, you do not crawl into a pit and hibernate, but rather crying gets the venom out of your system and prepares you for the treatment thereafter, and finding ways to work on it thereafter. But the more you allow the venom to circulate within your system is the more you give it the power to deal with you. We cannot be happy with a society of fragile people walking around acting strong when they know that they are almost at cracking point. This is a ticking time bomb that is itching to explode at any given time. Pride covers the wounds that need to be dealt with, and it is the same pride that digs a grave of self-inflicted pain. We must rise above the notion that showing vulnerability means you being less of what society deems you to be. If anything, we must and we need to acknowledge that we are human, and it is human to break down at one stage in your lifetime. Men forfeit their chance of healing at the expense of fearing humiliation, rejected, and being labeled as a weakling. Many ladies have been taught or have been told on how they ought to behave and conduct themselves, but most boys have been left to learn all these things on their own. They do not know how to react to certain things, and thus we need to balance the equation by educating and equipping the young boy on what it means and what it entails to be a man in this generation. There is no shame in shedding a tear. End note. Point number 1. Ladies, never make a man feel less of a man just because he shows vulnerability. That is where you gain access into the strong man that is to rise from that point forward. Point number 2. Brothers, don't feel pressurized to keep it together when you cannot. Shed a tear, get a load off, and regain your strength. You are stronger than the words of those who mock you. Point number 3. Don't be too hard on yourself. As a man, you need to know that you are also human. Point number 4. You can't always be strong, but as a man, you need to work on being resilient. Number 5. Learn to let loose and let go. You might save yourself from a ton of pressure in the process. There is no shame in shedding a tear. It is one thing to shed a tear, but it is another to remain defeated. So when you fall, you know that it gives another opportunity to stand up and fight like never before. Don't be afraid to shed a tear.